evening, Rosemary Shrager.
Hello, that's thank you for having me.
Thank you for agreeing to join us. So, we want to say hello to anybody who's watching from your page, from your
Yes.
Facebook page, and to my lovely UK Crime Book Club family who are tuning in to come and say hello to us. So, let's start with why we're here. The main reason that we're here. Congratulations on your debut crime fiction novel.
Oh, thank you very much. I know it's actually quite exciting. I actually can't believe it. It's like it sort of happened. It's been happening, coming out. It seems to suddenly it's arrived. Suddenly it's arrived, and it's one of these things, and I am really excited about it. So I just hope people enjoy it. I really do. I hope they get it. But I have to tell you, I'm actually filming, podcasting here from a hotel room. I'm actually at the Ideal Home exhibition tomorrow. I'm actually opening it with Lawrence and Lisa Faulkner, Lawrence Llewellyn and Lisa Faulkner. So we'll be there. We'll be there, I think, at 9:45 to open it. But I've got a press thing tomorrow, so I had to be here quite early. And basically, that's it. So the Wi-Fi isn't brilliant here, so I do apologise, Sam.
Well, fingers crossed. Let's just see how we go. So, let's start with why cozy crime?
Well, I've always had a passion for cozy crime. The thing is, for me, I've loved all the TV series of Midsummer Murders. It's fascinated me. Agatha Christie, I used to read all these different books that I loved. But also, it's just all the. I'm just fascinated with thinking up stories of how you're going to murder someone, or where's it going to be, or how it's going to happen, and it's just something I've been interested in. And I thought, well, when lockdown happened, this would be really exciting. So that's really why I decided to go and do it, which is brilliant. And also, I got a co-writer to help me with the English and sentences, and because it's totally different from writing. I've done a lot of writing for articles. I used to do lots of sort of 500 words a month at least, and then I used to do my books. I wrote all my books, so I've written a lot, really a lot. I've written travel articles and everything else. So it's not as if I was alien to writing, sitting down and
Absolutely
writing.
not.
So but the only thing where it was different was the fact it was more conversation. So I had to do conversation. So it was just getting that right and making sure. So I had somebody to hold my hand with that, which was great. And he was wonderful.
Which is always a help because no person, when they're writing a book, no author's an island. There are all sorts of people that we need to help us along, from
Yes,
editors and proofreaders to
yes.
marketing. There's so much
Oh,
to
I've never
do.
known such a huge marketing team in all my life. There were six of them. We were sitting around the table. I couldn't believe it. I thought this is just unbelievable. But the thing was, what was so amazing was the fact they trusted you. I was so shocked when they commissioned the three books. It was terribly exciting, and and so I just thought it was just a wonderful thing. I mean, I've written, as you know, as a lot of books, and to me, writing is always a fun thing to do. But the fact that this is not something, it was going to be a cookery book, I could understand. But to actually have faith and actually doing something, coming up with all the characters, which I did, and again, I had my co-writer to make sure that was all fine. But so I sort of had fun bringing in my granddaughter as my assistant, and then Numbers, who's part of the scene.
Mm.
He's my assistant in PA in real life, and he is gay as well. He's gay in the book and gay in real life. He's lovely, I adore him, but he's a lot older in real life. He's sort of 31, but in the book he's 19, 20, just going on 20. So basically, he's a super. So what has been lovely, I've drawn on the characters that I know in my life, and that's the only way I could do it. I don't think I could write a book without drawing on people I know. So watch out for all the next books for people I know.
Well, we
But it's
are
a mixture.
told,
No,
write
but
what
it's
you
a
know.
no, but it's a mixture of people, mixture of. So with Deirdre Shaw and with me and things, I sort of tallied myself up with, maybe Prue to actually, because she wears bright colours, and then I tallied up with maybe. So I sort of based on things that I knew which would be fun. It's a quirky book. It's a fun
Absolutely.
book. It's funny, and there are moments when you should have laughed out loud actually. So it was quite funny minutes, moments, and going on. But I really enjoyed doing it. It was really fun. It was just so cool.
And that shows through in the writing because it is fun and your warmth comes through and
Mm,
it's clever. You know,
mm.
you really threw us off,
Oh, thank you. Well,
which
I
is
have to
good.
say, but Prudence is she's quite tough and feisty. She doesn't take prisoners. Prudence is not a person to take prisoners, and she's not scared of anyone, no one. So I suppose I based it more on myself, but she's actually feistier than me. She's slightly feistier in sort of real life than me, so it's quite funny. So I really made her, yeah, she's a woman who takes no nonsense or prisoners.
You mentioned Suki, who the book is dedicated to, your
Yes,
granddaughter.
yes.
How conscious a decision was it to make yourself and Suki the main characters, or Prudence and Suki?
Well, yeah, but it was important again because I'm drawing on my personality, and also it's about a retired chef who was a celebrity, been in the industry a long time, and of course, so I based it on. Although I haven't retired very much, not retired,
Glad to
but I
hear that.
based but I based it on a lot of things that I've done, and as the books go on, I will recap on old things that have happened, and which have been quite funny. So I would sort of recap on all that and bring up ideas because it is to do with the sort of chefy world and the food and murder together. So and it's just bringing everything in together to make it work. So Deirdre Shaw, who is the first person who gets murdered, um, may I say the only person, but there is another murder which I can't tell you about in the book,
Absolutely not.
and I'm not allowed to tell you. But yes, I sort of killed two birds with one stone, really, because it made it more interesting. Although I'd like to be a bit like Midsummer Murders, where you've got so many murders going on, it would be very funny. But I always
That
think
would
that's
make
something.
for a very long book.
Yes, it would. It would. But there's always three murders happening in Midsummer Murders. I mean, this is most murdered village in the whole world. Yes, it's unbelievable. I love it. I love it. But no, so I made these characters, yes, sort of just as they are, really, and who they are, and just bringing up different ideas. I sort of when I started doing the book, and I came up with all these different names and who I was going to have, and then the end was who was going to get murdered. But for me it was the person who was going to be murdered, but it was how it was going to be murdered. So that's the big question, and you don't really know until you write it, really, and then you realise what's going on. It's fascinating. It's
And
I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot.
Prudence is very no nonsense. So, whilst overseeing a very fancy dinner for some very demanding guests,
Yes.
she's dealing with, well, how could this have happened and how could that have happened, and sending
Yeah.
Suki off on errands while
Yeah.
still preparing the food and being in
Yes.
complete control of everything. Is that something you think you'd have managed?
Probably not. I would have been in control of everything, but I would have been more worried about Suki.
She was
But
very laid back,
she's too
Prudence.
laid back. She's so laid back. And but Prudence is quite laid back too, you've got to understand. But she knows she'll get it done. The one thing
Mm.
Prudence will always deliver, and that's what I've always done in my life. I've never not delivered on anything. So that is the quintessential thing, is you have to always deliver. So but with Suki, her never ever really done anything, a job as such, and she had to take it seriously because they were
Mm.
serious members. But she was getting more and more excited as the time was going on, as you realise. I don't want to give too much away, but
No.
she does become enthusiastic in the end. In fact, she becomes more enthusiastic than Prudence, I think, in a very sort of way, because and she's always going to be there in the books. She's always going to be my assistant, and that's it, full stop. So so it's quite fun. I mean, the next book is set in North Yorkshire, where I came. This one was set in
In Coventry.
Cotswolds. Yes, absolutely. Which is the reason being is because there's a village in the Cotswolds called Upper Slaughter. So I thought that was a really exciting sort of place to have a murder. So that's really why. It was nothing else. But this time, all the other books I think I'm going to be placing in places I've actually worked in, as in houses and places and so on and so forth, kitchens. So that's how it's going to be done.
So you do. We start off at a small food festival. We go into a country manor. Are we expecting the same kind of settings in book 2 and 3?
No, no. In book two, it's totally different. Our prudence has to go up. Can't tell you too much again because it gives it away. Prudence has to go up, and it's all about fracking, and it's all about. It's called The Proof Is in the Pudding. Figgy pudding. It's a figgy pudding. So I can't tell you because it just gives it away. So, and it's all about a dead body, and I can't tell you how the dead body is found because the funness will go out of it reading it because it is quite funny. It's actually very funny, and it's in a very very beautiful Yorkshire green. It's an enormous house on the green where they're entertaining a lot of people, and Prudence is there to win all the people to get all the local people to help them understand what fracking is all about. And of course, she has to fill their stomachs with beautiful food, and it's with a party, and that's what it's all about. So, but it's more than that because it's all about treasure. But I'm not saying any more.
We've got lots of hellos from people from your page and my family over at
Oh,
the
how
UK
lovely!
Crime
How
Book Club.
lovely!
So hello to everybody. We have
Oh,
a
hello, everybody.
question from Polly Swan. My friend Polly says, Rosemary, we all know you from seeing you on TV. You have a wicked sense of humour. Does this also come across in your book? Well, I
Oh,
can say for definite it does.
oh my gosh, yes. I mean, you should. I've just been listening, funnily enough, to the Polly, to the audio tape, which is very, very good. And I have to tell you, I've been laughing out loud with that, and it's very well done. And I've forgotten the person who's actually doing
Rachel
it.
Atkins.
Right, yeah, Rachel, thank you. She's awfully good,
She
and
is.
she is really good, and she's got it starts with Suki being very drunk, but I can't go on anymore. But she does that. But then Suki suddenly wakes up, and it does all become a little bit more uh, tenable. Uh, so it is quite interesting. It is quite interesting, and yeah, it's fine. I can't give it away because I want to tell
I think it's
everybody about.
okay to say about the beginning. If you're just talking
Okay,
about the
well,
first two
it's
or three
all about
chapters, I think that's
where
okay.
it's all about. Okay, I'll tell the beginning. It's all away. My granddaughter decides to. She has a terrible hangover. I can't say how it goes on. Prudence is doing in the fair. She's in the fair, and she's just about to do a demonstration when the camper van comes with nobody at the wheel, comes down the hill and into all the produce that was showing that Prudence had not actually judged yet, and all the wonderful pumpkins and you name it, it was done. Carrots, you name it, it was all there, thrown up in the air everywhere. It was a nightmare. That was the end of the fete, and it was PC Hardman who comes on board, and he's a plonker, complete plonker, and she thinks he just can't do anything. I mean, it's very funny. Anyway, but of course the awful thing is nobody saw Suki get out, and of course, but then of course Suki, she has a choice, either police or work for Prudence, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say any more.
Lovely Lucy Sampson says evening to us. She loved the book and she's looking forward to seeing what's next for Prudence.
Oh, how lovely. Thank you. Yes, absolutely. I'm so glad because do you know what? That warms the cockles of my heart actually because I love the fact people can say they liked it because somebody said to me, "Aren't you excited?" I said, "Yes, I am looking forward to it, but I'm nervous because one knows me from cooking and you know I've got a sense of humor. I can't help my sense of humor. I know it's off the wall and bonkers, but I mean, whether they'll believe me with a murder mystery is another question. And I prayed that they would believe me, and that it would come across, and that there's no reason why I can't be a chef and write novels at the same time.
Absolutely. And you've had some amazing reviews. I know you've had some wonderful reviews from people that you've worked with in the past, from
I
people that you've
have,
maybe just met through the crime fiction circuit.
yep, I have absolutely Miriam Margulies. She wrote a wonderful one, and Alan Titchmarsh. Yes, I've got them here. Nick Ferrari, Joe Brand. They've all come back with with ones with quotes and things. Anton Dubeck, Simon Brett. People who know their business as well. That really, actually, I thought that was brilliant because Trick Craven as well. We had
Well, I was going to introduce you to Mike
MV.
Craven, and he's
Yes,
provided you a cover quote.
yes. That's right. Because I think it's so nice to have people like that to actually say, "We really enjoyed the book."
Mm.
That means an awful lot to me. I mean, it's rather like when somebody in the chef world says, "Oh, that's an incredible meal." I mean, I love it, but when a chef says it to another chef, it's like a completely different thing, and it
Of
feels
course.
wonderful. So you have total respect. So I think that yeah, for me, it's really exciting. So yeah, it really is exciting, and hope that people will keep enjoying it. And I'll keep
Well,
writing it, come up with new ideas.
one of the things that we talked about earlier on is your love of Golden Age and Midsummer Murders, all of that kind of stuff.
Absolutely,
But
yes.
as somebody like yourself, who I would imagine is just like Prudence, not squeamish at all,
Not at all,
do you
no.
think you would ever write something darker?
Now that's interesting. You see, I think Vera's quite dark in some ways because I mean she's really interesting. It's quite deep,
Mm.
and I'm not sure I'm clever enough because my problem is that I find things funny. It's my sense of humor, and I don't think I would to actually say that. I think to say that I don't think I would. I think I'd write things like Jonathan Creek type things. I think that I could do all that because that's funny because there's interesting, intrigue things coming up. Certainly
Mm.
that sort of way. But I think to get into what I call the deep, dark murder mysteries, I don't think I'm clever enough for that.
I do think you're clever enough. I think you're underestimating the complexities of the plot that you've written and how
Well, the
you've
plot was quite.
woven the characters.
But what the thing is, Sam, what you had to do with the plot, you had to make sure that people aren't guessing who it is, and you've got to put all these things in between, so there's absolutely no idea that they would think it was that. So that to me was not the hardest thing. The hardest thing was actually come in to create the characters that they became interesting enough. So that to me, I think is hard. The characters are hard, and I think that to make sure that they all have their intricacies, their quirky little things going on, and I think that's hard. Yes, that's really important. So yeah, I don't know. You never know. I mean, is that a challenge? I don't know.
Yes, that is a challenge.
Take it. I think I don't know. I think it would take too long. I'll never forget. Okay, I'll tell you something. I will never forget. Years and years. We're talking about 40 years ago. No. That was about 35 years ago. And I was asked to write. No, 40 years ago. I was asked to write a recipe book, and I couldn't write it. I just couldn't write it because I didn't think I could do it. So of course, but what reason I couldn't do it because I didn't realize you could still you have your own recipes, but they're just different. I was all thinking that I want something completely and utterly different. So of course it was never going to happen. So of course, so I said, no, I can't do this. I can't do this. And of course, as time went on, of course, it wasn't like that at all. So then once I realized how to write a recipe book, but I had to learn how to write a recipe book. And it's a little bit like this. I'm having to learn how
Yeah.
to write murder mysteries. It's not an easy thing. And without help, I couldn't have done it, without the co-writer just make you saying, okay, this is fine, this is all right, just need a little bit of flour here and this and that. It's important. So, but I feel that once you've got one under your belt, you can then do more. Yeah.
I'd agree with that. And you could write something darker under R.J. Shrager. You know, you could have the two names and...
But actually, that is funny. I could. I mean, I could. I mean, dark. Yeah, I could. I could. Gosh, you've got me thinking now what you could do. Oh my gosh.
This is what we like. We like our authors to write more books.
Yes. Well, the thing is, I'll tell you what I do. You know what I do? When certainly with my recipe books, what I used to do, I don't know whether you ever dreamed things. I used to do a lot of dreaming. I do a lot of dreaming and I write down. And I would always find I was either going to be murdered or I was murdering someone or doing something. But it was always this intrigue inside me, and not the fact I have no violence in me whatsoever. I'm the most unviolent person you'll ever find, and I'm not a quiet person, so I've got no secrets inside me. It all comes out like verbal diarrhea, and of course, so with me, it's sort of. Yes, you just have to keep going really, and just keep pushing yourself forward of where you can do. But it's just it's fun. I didn't realize I'd enjoy it quite so much as I have. I really didn't. It really is fun. And I could, and what is so nice, when I was listening to the audio tape, it suddenly came to life. You can read it and you could have it in your brain. You can talk about all these, and you've got all these people, like the Pendergasts and the Pemberys and the, all these, with Deirdre and the Maxwell, you've got Gray Williams, the guest bachelors, and all those things. And oh God, all sorts of things happen, as you know. So, and you can do all these to make sure, you just got to make sure you haven't got names of people in there. You've got to
not without permission.
No, you've got to use the only person is my granddaughter, so you've got to use fictional names, which is really important. Yeah, so that's it really, and so it's fun though. It's fun.
I did do something that I've not done before, which was I read some in the hardback, and I also listened to Rachel on the audiobook, which I don't normally mix and match.
Oh, really? And so what did you think then?
I thought she was fantastic. The different voices, the personality that Rachel brings across.
Yes.
Yeah, I just thought she was terrific. So I will be looking out for more things with her narration.
That's right. Well, I was going to I really sort of quite fancied Miriam doing it, because I thought Miriam would play me beautifully and play my sort
I agree. Yeah.
And but she's very good, really good. And I was listening to it as I was driving up to London, so it was really going 60 miles an hour, and I didn't mind going 60 miles an hour. I'm trying to be good on my petrol at the moment, So, but what I tell you how I see it, Sam, we've got at the moment so much misery going on in the world. There's so many horrible things happening, and and all this awful money that's being increased for our heating and our national insurance and all this stuff. I mean, it's just a nightmare. I mean, it really is, and it's so many miserable things going on that I must say it is something, a light-hearted something that actually you can enjoy yourself with. I really do. So I think that it should cheer people up actually a little bit, because it's I call it an escapism. It's purely an escapism where people can actually really really get into it and take your mind off these awful things that happen. Because invariably, I mean, when it's cold at night, I actually go to bed really early. I just get into bed with a hottie. I mean, it's just brilliant. And then knuckle down to a nice book of some kind, which is lovely, absolutely lovely. So it's that sort of thing, cozy crime and not taxing. And also, I don't know whether you noticed, but I've got big writing with it. The reason I've got big writing is because I find when I read a book with little, because I'm so dyslexic, I'm a very slow reader, very slow. But it makes me tired when I read small letters and with my glasses. So I find, but having slightly bigger. It's probably normal actually on a lot of books, but it's on the bigger side rather than the smaller side. It's easier to read. It's an
It is
easier.
a very pleasant font on the eyes.
Yes, well, that was important to me. In fact, on my cookery books, I did that on my cookery books as well, because there was one cookery book that I brought out was actually really bad, and the colour of the font, you couldn't read it. It was on the white page. You actually could hardly read it. I've never been so upset about anything. It was whoever did that was really bad. Anyway, but it was a shame. Well, you sort of think maybe it'll work on your eyes, but on slightly older eyes like mine, it's a lot more difficult, a lot more difficult. So, have we got some questions?
Oh, we've got lots of questions.
Oh, go on, give me some questions.
So TG, who is one of the admins of the UK Crime Book Club, has said, do you laugh at your characters as you write him? Now, you were wondering whether there were parts that I laughed out loud at. Something that happens with one of the, you'll know this, and anyone who's read it will, something that happens with Constable
Hardman.
Littleton.
Yes,
Constable
on the bicycle.
Littleton.
Is this the bicycle?
There are things to do with that constable,
yes,
with the bicycle and lots of things.
Oh, it's so funny.
I roared laughing at the end of this
he's
book.
so funny. He's a plonker. And it was just hysterical. I made him a plonker. So he had to be, because Prudence was such the opposite. And it was all about, yes, she only got information because she agreed to give some information on herself. It was a bribe. But of course she didn't in the end. It was funny. I can't tell people anymore, but it's.
But did you laugh as you were writing?
Oh, I did. Yes, that's why I did. Constable Hardman's great character, and also Numbers as well. I laughed at Numbers because Numbers so funny. He's completely, and of course I laughed at Prudence a lot because Prudence was so funny because she was so sort of. I mean, she said something fabulous in. She says to Suki, "You're not going to learn anything looking down. You only learn when you look up." And of course, which is true, because look at the trees, look at the sky, look at the houses. Don't look down and do your research, because that's not what you do. So, of course, and it's these little quirky moments that I get, and I do, and describing things. As I love doing describing things, and that's really important, But Constable Hardman is funny. I mean, there's some of the people like Terence Knight and Richard Pentecost. Now, Richard Pentecost, Rupert is the father, and then you've got Richard, you've got the son, and then you've got the wife, Georgette, and she really is something else. But I had to come up with these characters, which I have come across in my life, and that they, they're quite interesting, and it's quite funny. And they didn't seem too upset that somebody had died. I mean, that's what was so funny about the whole thing. And I thought that
just spoiled their evening.
Yeah, it's not going to spoil my weekend. Nobody's going to spoil my weekend. I'm still going to have my dinner. I'm still going to go out shooting. Nobody. So, and let's get on and let's move on. That's how it is. That's so funny. So funny. Anyway, yeah, so I'm not saying anymore. Or let's have some questions before you say something that you exactly. Yes.
So we've got Scott Greengrass says, hello, Rosemary Shrager. Hope you're well.
Hello.
We've got so many different people that are saying hello. Caroline Maston, Gina Colbran.
Yes.
Lots and lots of people.
Any questions?
So many questions.
Let's get
somebody has asked, will you ever betray any secrets of the trade? For example, I mentioned a chef who washed iffy fish with lemon juice in black summer to hide the smell. This is Mike Craven.
Oh, really?
No, hello, Mr. Craven.
Hello, Mr. Craven. I'm not going to.
I didn't know it was Mike until I got to the end and it said black summer.
I'm not going to give anything away about anything, and that's final. I can tell you who Deirdre Shaw was, but I'm not.
Well, I thought I'd figured that out, and I won't say. But then I thought I got it based on the initials. But then you mentioned this person by name in the book, so I assumed maybe not. So.
No, I'm not telling you anything. No, I'm not. No, that's the good thing. That's why what I'm going to be doing and what I'm hoping is, as we do the books, I'm going to go backtracking into some of the things, as I said earlier, that have happened in my past. And that you'd be surprised what happens behind the scenes in the kitchen world sometimes. Yeah, it's quite funny. Very funny.
Edwina Nelson has said, "Hi Rosemary, is there a favourite dish that you like to cook out of your cookery books?"
Oh, that's an interesting. I
So
always
is
like
the roulade one of your favourites?
well, no, it's just I decided to make the roulade, but what I've done with the roulade, I've made it a double whammy. So I put it's Prudence's roulade, not mine. Well, obviously I've done it, but it's what I've done is I've never done this roulade before, but it's her roulade, and she makes the sponge, and then what she does is she does 2/3 in meringue on another tray, a meringue roulade, and then she puts the jam on the sponge, and then she turns the meringue roulade out. So the meringue roulade is inside the sponge. And then she puts a bit of cream on the top and raspberries at the front, fresh raspberries. So basically, when she rolls it up, the raspberries are right in the middle and going all the way through. And then she's got a lovely, lovely fluffy cake and meringue roulade.
Wonderful.
Yeah, easy. So it had to be. I had to do something that was really different, and Funny enough, I sent the recipe in, having done it a few times. I sent the recipe in to everybody, so they've never put it anywhere yet. So one day they probably will. I don't know.
Polly Swan has asked a question from her 9-year-old Emily. Hi Emily.
Hi, Emily.
Who is watching over her shoulder. Would she be able to enjoy your book too? Bearing in mind she has read many murder mysteries for young adults. Now, there is the odd lower class swear word. They're not the big
No,
swear words. They're very
no.
subtle ones.
She'll be no. I mean, there aren't. She'll be fine. Honestly, how old is she again?
9.
Oh, she'll be fine. Perfect. Honestly, she'll really love it. Seriously. I promise you one thing Prudence is not, is she doesn't swear. And she's not a swearer. And I'm not even, I think I don't think I put a swear word in there actually.
Just a couple of very.
Where did I put this? I don't remember.
There's the word for, shall I say, bottom.
Oh yes,
That's the only one that springs to mind.
Yeah, I don't
but
see that as a swear word, but I wouldn't say it. But Prudence did, but it must have been. Yes, that's right.
I
Yes,
can't think of the context
yes,
of
but
it.
it's not.
Yeah.
No, she's honestly. My books are perfectly all right for young people. In fact, it's fun. Funnily enough, my all my grandchildren have read it, and they loved it. Because no, I don't swear, so it's fine. I'm not a swearer. Swearing wouldn't come into my books. There'd be no point. No point. Because I think swearing. There's lots of other words you can use instead of swearing anyway. I think. Although we say the odd swearing word occasionally, believe me.
Sometimes fiddlesticks just won't cut it.
Fiddlesticks doesn't cut it. No, so you sometimes have to say the odd swear word to make you feel better. I couldn't agree with you all. Yeah. Prudence, though, is certainly not a prude, as you'll probably realise. So that's fine. Go ahead and read it. You'll love it. Yeah, I hope.
Well, Prudence does hint at different debauched gatherings. The things that go on in these country houses when people are cooking for. They bring somebody like yourself in to cook, and everything's going on in the background.
Well, she's also she's seen the odd room sharing and things like this. But the thing is, I'm not saying anymore. But the thing is that hopping in and out. But the thing is that she's not. She's seen it all. But Prudence was quite a girl in her youth, and she loves her cocktails. She's used to, she likes the, Manhattan and all this stuff. She loves all that. And so, for her, it's really important. She loves all her cocktails, which her husband used to make her all the time. So cocktails are one of her loves. So, yeah. So she would never say no to a cocktail. And I
Emily
think
says
Prudence,
thank you.
well, I think Prudence, although she would never admit it, has had a few hangovers in her life, but you can gather that one.
Emily says thank you. You've made her day.
Oh, wonderful.
I have to say, one of the things that I did do during the reading of the book, you mentioned potato waffles as
Yes,
something that Suki might fancy.
yes.
And I actually went to the freezer and looked and made myself some because I've not had any for a while. And they're not
Really?
something
To
I
do?
generally have a bit of toast or something just as a quick snack, but that was lovely.
Yeah, well, they're very easy. Yes, just have a potato with a few eggs and a bit of this and that and bung it in, and there you are. Yeah, it's great, great. And waffles are lovely, actually. Waffles are one. They're very big in America. I used to them in
Mm,
America, and really big out there. But I must say that no, it's lots of foodie things. I mean, it's funnily enough, I think you're a person who either loves the food side of it or you don't. I mean,
mm,
because it it had to be food because I'm all about food. So food had to be within the book to make, and also I used analogies there within the book as well, which I
mm,
thought was really important because whereas she knows when a dish, Prudence knows when a dish is not right, and that's why she sniffs out Deirdre Shaw and suddenly realizing this is not doesn't seem right. So it's sort of I use analogies into the book, when it comes to food and things. So it's lovely, actually. It's lovely. I'm
I
loving
did
it.
actually make a note about that, about Prudence's knack of instincts for what flavours will and won't go together. And I
Yes.
wondered if that was something that you found when you were writing the book. When you were writing, did you sometimes think it's not quite sitting right? Was your gut instinct of a
Um.
direction?
Yes, that's when I get on the phone. Yes, I know that's when you get on the phone. You say help, help, help. Um, and that's why I always say that without a co-writer, to help me on that side, I would have found it very, very difficult because sometimes, it doesn't sound quite right, or you think you've probably not got it. Yeah, prose is totally different, and I'm having to learn it almost as I'm going along in a way. I mean, I've always written essays and was at school and and things like this, but I can't. Yeah, I found this. Yeah, things did go wrong and things were quite not quite right. Maybe they didn't sit right. They were feeling it just wasn't flowing correct. But we got through it and we changed it to make it work, and that's what it's all about. Um,
Absolutely.
and that's why this is in a way that's why this is so special because it's because it's almost like a journey for me. It's been a huge learning journey, and to me I'm not going to look back because I've already nearly finished the sort of second book, so it's all great. So basically it's been a massive journey, and with help, and I have to say, yeah, can't say enough about it. Can't say enough about it without
So
telling you what's going on. I mean,
I
I just
know.
like to tell you the story, and I can't. It'd be so much easier for me to sit here and just say the story, tell you the story. But it was spoiled.
The settings are something that obviously we've talked about that fascinated me. Are any of them real, or are they just loosely based on real places, but
Okay,
to work?
the village is very similar to one I'm in. The Cotswolds is very much like an imagination Cotswolds village. I mean, I love Cotswold Stone. I
Mm,
love the Cotswold Stone. I love the whole thing, and a lot of good books have come from writers have come from Cotswolds as well. So I just thought it was a good thing, especially with that thing with Upper Slaughter Village, and I thought, why not? That's a good idea to start there. But I'm not going to do that again. With the Yorkshire one and also with the Penzance one in Cornwall, I'm going to the Cornwall one is near where I used to live. I mean, the Penzance one, the Yorkshire one is near where I used to live, and then the Cornwall one is also not far where I used to live either. So yes, so I'm and as I go through the books, I'm going to now always do places where I've worked in, like Scotland, like the Hebrides. Like I want to do one in Grenada, which I've been to Grenada. I want to do one in. I've worked in St Martin's. I want to do one in Kent, and I want to do one in East Sussex. I would like to do so the places I know really well. I think that was the only thing that was, really made up from my point of view. But the characters were all different. They were just using people I've come across in my life. Yeah, that's an interesting question. Yes, but not anymore. I'm not doing out. I'm not doing out of my imagination anymore. I said because that doesn't. I mean, it worked.
You visited enough places to have
Oh, it
ideas for them.
worked. No, it worked. It worked really, really well. And it was great because you can just, you could just do it in all the villages and all the. I mean, I live in one like that, so it's exactly the same. It has a butcher, it has everything there. It's got everything, and the bookshop, and where they're selling my books, which is lovely, and so on and so forth. So really, yes, the answer is. But from now onwards, it's going to be where I've worked, all the places I've worked. So the people. So it's turning into all the people and all the places. So it's not my autobiography, though, believe me. I'm not going to go there.
Now, something that we like to ask in the book club is about memorable moments as an author. And for you, obviously, you've done this is a new angle for you, a new direction. So, how did it feel holding this book compared to holding the others? Was it any different?
Yes, it was very, very different. It was very different. Um, Holding the cookery books as they came out, the very first cookery book I ever did. This is my 10th book, by the way. The first, which isn't that many compared to some people. Um, the first book I ever did was the most frightening thing I've ever done. The first cookery book. Okay, and as I said, people used to say to me, "Are you excited?" No, I was so nervous. I couldn't I couldn't get any enthusiasms. I was so worried because I wanted them to enjoy it. And I think Everyman only published 5,000, first edition. That's why they're so sought after now, because they only did 5,000. So at least that's what I thought. So the first editions, I know there's some that have been quite pricey that have gone, and so obviously second edition, third, they're not the same. So 5,000 books out there at the beginning, but it's very nerve-wracking. Now this, from that, and then it got easier. I was still nervous when books came out because you just want people to enjoy them. You want them to do the recipes, and you want them to get them right as well. You want them to be successful. So you can never be cocky about it in any shape or form. But this was totally different. This was something that how can I describe? It's probably one of those frightening things to have my name there with this book, because I thought people would judge me, really judge me, and I thought that people would probably think I'm not bright enough, or have I got it to have I got mustard to do it? Quite frankly, and then I thought, well, are they going to believe me? That's another thing. Is it believable? There's so many things were coming up because cookery is easy because everybody knows I've been in the industry forever. People knows I know about food. People know about what I've done, but this is something I would not call myself a novelist, only because not until I got three books out. When I get my three books, I might say to you, okay, I'm a novelist now, but I'm not going to, because for me, I think, although we've nearly finished the second one, it's nearly done, a couple more chapters, but here, I don't think I can, I'm trying to think so it comes out the right way. I'm not excited. I am so overexcited. I'm so overjoyed with it. And I so love it. And I think it's funny, and my grandchildren love it. And, people who thought I couldn't do anything like this, I stick two fingers up to them, quite frankly. I've done it. So,
well, you've proved that you can do it, and
so, but
successfully.
that's just a personal little thing to me, because nobody, they thought I couldn't do it. Some of them, no, well, you wait and see, mate. So, but I want to make sure that people are buying it, people enjoy it, people will reread it as old friends, because to me, books become old friends. That you pick up books and you reread them because you think, you go through it again. Um, and the answer is, I think I'm being so long-winded here. I'm excited, but I just want people to enjoy it. I think it's a huge, but a lot of people helped me. So I'm taking a lot of people along with me with this because the editors, my co-writer who was there, all the time. He's, without him, I couldn't have achieved it. And so there's a lot of people I have to a lot of people I have to thank for helping me with this book, because it's not a one-man band. It's for me, it had to be as things go on and things progress, then yes, it becomes better and easier. But this one, yes, was an achievement in itself. So I'm taking a lot of people along with me with it because I think it's very important. The publishers who believed in me, the people who really thought I could do it. Because, quite frankly, I know people have tried to get their books published and they've never got their books published. I go along and sort of say, "Will you publish a book?" And yes. I mean, it's almost unfair because, it's very, very unfair. And I feel I want to do justice to this because they've believed in me. So I think if people have given you that chance, because after all, it is a chance. It really is a chance. I don't want to ruin it for any. I don't want to ruin it for people. Like saying, I didn't think she could do it, or that sort of thing. So, yeah, it's a difficult one. It's a difficult one because I am proud of it. Yes, I do love it. Yes, I really enjoy doing it. Yes, I love the characters. Yes, I love all the quirkiness. I love it. I can't wait for you to sort of read the next one. I mean, really. But is it scary? Is it frightening? I just want people to enjoy it. Yes, I want people to believe in me. So
For in-person events, will you be doing any book signings, or can people buy signed copies from you
yes,
or a shop? Or
absolutely. The ideal home exhibition tomorrow. I've got a load with me, so people will be able to buy books tomorrow if they would like to come along, and they can get books from me there. I will be having some on my website eventually. I'll put them through the post if they want them inscribed. Um, the answer is yes, I'm going to some. I am going to some places. I'm going to some literary festivals. I'm not sure which ones yet, but I've got a list, but I can't take them off. I can't remember them. Um, so they are all over it. And I'm going to the Crime Writers Forum in York, in Harrogate, which I'm looking forward to very much. And will you be there?
hopefully this year, yes.
Okay, I'll be there. I'll see you there, which is great. And then, yes, then really, that's what I'll be doing. I'll be going to a load of places, yes, to do some book signing and stuff already. But I have signed. You can buy signed copies from Waterstones and places like that, where I have done a couple of thousand tips actually. So they should, there should be a few signed copies there for people. Yeah, which is great.
It must be great fun to meet people in person and sign the books for them.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. I love actually just dedicating it to someone. And people say to me, "Do you ever get bored of people stopping you on the street having selfies?" I would say, never, ever, ever, because I would not be able to do the book. I would not be able to do TV. I would not, if they hadn't invested their time in looking at me and, and actually turning on the telly or whatever, or buy my books, I wouldn't be where I am today. So, I don't mind anybody having a selfie, saying hi to me, and I talk to everybody and anybody. I've only once ever in my life that I said no, and there was someone that came up to me, and I don't know where it was. Actually, I can't. I felt so bad afterwards. I'd never ever done it. I said, seriously, not now. I really can't do it at the moment. I don't know what was going on. I can't remember. But I do remember feeling really guilty. You know.
Yeah, not an easy thing when there's so many people that want to say hello to you and have signings that everyone's allowed an off day.
Well, the thing is, I wouldn't have this book. I don't think they would have actually, because who am I? I'm a nobody. and it's only because of my name. So I wouldn't have this book being published if I wasn't reasonably well known. That's the thing. And also, I think it's such an unusual thing to do that it actually would. I don't think I would have had the opportunity. So it's given me enormous opportunities to actually do other stuff like charity work, like this, like other stuff that I would never have done before. So, you know, I would never get sick of it. I'd never get sick of it. And I am lucky because I promise you this book would not be sitting here if I hadn't become reasonably well known. I
And
hate.
we should talk about that, shouldn't we? Because we haven't talked about Ladette to Lady, we've not talked about I'm a Celebrity, we've not talked about the Great Cooking Showdown. I mean, there's a lot. Do you have, you must have fond memories of some of the other things that you've been able to do because of your fame through cooking?
Well, absolutely. I'm glad you didn't say celebrity. I hate that word celebrity. I have to use celebrity chef in here, and I hate it because they didn't wouldn't have known, but they hate the word because I don't consider myself to be a celebrity at all. Um, I think okay, my probably I've had so much fun in my life doing programs with people like Bradley Shaw, Bradley Walsh. I've never laughed so much going to do the Marigold Hotel all round, even Ladette's the Ladies. I mean, I've never laughed so much in all my life. I mean, seriously. I mean, there was one thing they came back so drunk, and we actually gave them a police test. But the problem was I'd been drinking all night. I was totally off my head. So the thing was, I was laughing so much, and Jill Hardboard, actually, I couldn't stay. I said, Jill, I'm going to have to, Mrs. Hardboard, I'm going to have to go behind the scenes because I can't actually watch these young people. It's just, doing my head in, quite frankly. So I had to go away because I was laughing so much. I was going, honestly, if they put me through that test, I wouldn't have been able to have done it. Trying to go down a long line and had to do the nose and, So it was very funny. And there were some moments where it was hysterical, absolutely hysterical. And I did laugh an awful lot. I really did. It was funny. So, I mean, I've done some amazing programs and I'm still doing them. I'm still filming. I start filming for a series in 3 weeks' time, 2.5 weeks' time. I've got another series which I've done something for someone. I'm just hoping to see if we get that, which will be a huge one. I'm also doing things that American One and things like this, which I will talk about my book then, which will be lovely next week. And so I'm still doing odds and sods, what I call odds and sods, and I love it. I absolutely love it, and it gives me time to do all the different shows. I'm going to go round to loads of different shows this year and masses where I'll be signing all my books, which will be very exciting. Where I'm going to have murder mystery tent. I'm going to have a murder where you come and have tea and you find out who the murderer is at the tables. It's going to be quite exciting, actually.
Oh, I like the sound of that.
It's like Cluedo. It's like Cluedo. So I'm going to have this when you go round. I'm going to have it all over the country, Great Missenden or everywhere, and where you're going to sit in a tent and you're going to. We're going to find out who the murderer is. Yes, it's funny.
Oh, wonderful. Great Missenden, where Roald Dahl's from?
Buckinghamshire. Yes, Roald Dahl was from there.
Yeah. We did a lovely tour, so if anybody is down there to go and see, go to the Roald Dahl Museum. It's wonderful.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And the most magnificent house there too. He did. He really did.
I actually got to go into the garden, took my children and my husband a few years
how
ago.
Lovely.
Well, the writing hut it was the last day that it was in his garden before it was moved to the museum. And my husband took me to surprise me. This was a long time ago.
Oh my God.
And we had the most magical day. It was wonderful.
Oh, how wonderful. Oh, that's so nice. That's absolutely wonderful, isn't it? Have we got any more questions from anybody else?
We have. And
can you do some questions for me so I can do?
Absolutely. Janina Simpson actually said she got a signed copy in Waterstones yesterday.
Oh, so how lovely is that? Oh, that's lovely. Jean, I hope you really enjoy it. Just enjoy it, please. Be great.
So, Alex Hawley, who is another one of our admins, this is quite a cheeky question. What is your biggest tip for a recipe you might use to murder somebody? We can't give you tips on how to kill people, Alex.
Do you know the best one? It's not my idea, I have to tell you, but I think the best one is to hit a frozen leg of lamb, kill them with the frozen leg, and then basically, well, from the freezer, and then defrost it and eat it. The murder weapon's gone.
We've heard that one. That's one that we use in my house. And icicles. I don't know how big and sharp the icicle would have to be, but
oh my gosh, we have to be very sharp indeed. Yes, there's all sorts of ways you can murder people. It's quite funny. It is, but you've got to take it with a pinch of salt because it's just fun. It's just fun. Nothing is serious. Nothing is serious. We turn a sword into a bunch of flowers.
Laura Hamilton, hi Laura, has asked, did you act any of the scenes out to help with the writing process? We've had some really good answers to this in the past.
Really? No, I didn't. But what I did do is I actually read it aloud, really aloud, and see. And the problem is, I'm terrible at accents. I am the worst. I can't do anything except speak the way I speak. I'm useless, absolutely useless.
Me too.
Oh, you are too. You're the same.
Absolutely.
Well, so consequently, but what I did was read it out aloud, not act it, but read it out aloud and do it that way. And actually, you'd see it either flowed or it didn't flow. So because I find sometimes reading out loud, I can't read out aloud in front of anyone because it takes me back. I can read to myself out aloud, but not in front of anybody. It takes me back to when I was at school. I used to sit at the back of the school, at the class, and when it came to my place, I shook, and my mouth shook. I just couldn't read it. I absolutely dreaded reading out aloud. Dreaded it. So you can imagine. But yet I say that I wanted to be an actress, but that's different. I've done pantomime. I've done all sorts of things, and I love that. That's completely and utterly different to reading out aloud.
Absolutely. We are coming up to the end of our hour.
What?
We've got 2 minutes left.
What? It's gone so quickly.
It has gone quickly.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous.
And your internet held out, which is fantastic.
Oh my gosh, but thank goodness for that. Thank goodness for that. How many people did we have on then?
Well, I can't tell from where I am at the moment. The figures on my screen are never the accurate ones. The Facebook ones are. So I can let Martin have those figures afterwards. Lovely. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to everybody from your Facebook page and from the UK Crime Book Club for coming across and joining us. And do you want to just tell everyone a quick recap of The Last Supper before we go and show off the book cover?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Sam, also for asking me on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Welcome.
It's been a hoot. Now, The Last Supper is about Prudence Bulstrode, who's a retired celebrity chef. She doesn't want to retire because she wants to keep her hand in it. So her granddaughter had been pretty naughty, so she got a phone call, and can't tell you, Deirdre Shaw, she died in the rhubarb patch, and she then decided, she said yes to go and cook them. All sorts of things happened, all sorts of things you have to find out, but it's a story with a surprising ending, all I can say. But let's say you kill things with 2 stones here, with 1 stone. Can I say it that way? I think so, without giving it.
That's fine, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm not giving anything away. So,
I don't think that's giving anything away.
No. So basically, enjoy. I really hope you enjoyed, and please, if you enjoyed, then I'll get more and more, which will be such fun. So, and thank you for having me on, Sam. Thank you so.
Thank you for agreeing. I'm just going to say to the UK Crime Book Club people, Ben Bruce is up next with his pub quiz, just not in a pub. We've had an online quiz throughout lockdown and beyond. And he's got Chris MacDonald and AS French with him tonight, which is lots of fun.
And can I say, oh, that's so nice. Well, good luck with that one. Good luck with quizzes. Useless. And thank you.
I'm terrible.
I'm terrible too. And good luck to Michael Craven. Thank you so much, Michael, for your little quote. That really meant a lot to me. And good luck.
Let's see if I can give him a quick scene. This is The Botanist from Mike, which is out in June.
Oh, Mike, gosh, I'm going to definitely get that one. Definitely. Thank you so much, Mike. That was really kind of you. And I'm glad you phoned through too. I'm glad you texted through. That was really nice of you. Anyway, Thank you, and have
Thank
a
you
lovely
so
evening.
much.
Okay, thank you for
You
having me.
too.
Okay,
Thank you
bye.
all. Bye.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
Rosemary.
Bye. Bye. It's a pleasure, Sam.